everyone, and welcome to the Lizard Brains podcast. I'm your host, DJ Alessandrini. I'm joined by my co-host, Tom O'Gorman. Tom, how are we doing?
I'm okay. Nursing a little bit of a headache today. I don't know why.
Oh,
Maybe
dude,
the heat. Maybe the heat's getting to
that's
me.
definitely it. I had a headache for like the last 2 days. It's like it ended like halfway through today, and I was like, oh, sweet relief. I'm like, this is
Yeah.
what it feels like to have a normal brain again.
Is that what a headache is?
I
A
don't
brain ache?
I don't know what it is, but like I just can't concentrate when I have a headache.
My brain hurts.
But you
Yeah,
know
I
what?
used to get some migraines in grade school and it was like brutal. So I'm so glad I grew out of that. But
Oh, yeah.
headaches suck.
You're lucky that you grew out of it. I still get one every once in a while. Christine has this I forget what the medicine is called, but it's like freaking legit. Like you think you're getting a migraine, you like just throw one of those in. I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
I wish I remembered so people listening could be like, "Oh crap, maybe I should look into some of that."
Is it prescription or is it just
It's
off
a
the shelf?
prescription. Yeah, it's
Oh,
sumatriptan, I think it's what it's called. So, it tastes like the worst. It's like super bitter and like it tastes like it's killing you. So like
yeah.
they're like these tiny tiny little pills. And it doesn't even feel like you swallowed anything. But if you feel like you're getting a migraine and you like throw one of those in, like you're good. Like you're most likely you're good. I'd say it's like a
Dude, when we were
90%
kids,
success rate.
okay. When we were kids, we had this like NyQuil for kids or whatever.
Yeah.
And like the normal medicine was like no big deal, but if we were really sick, I don't remember what it was.
It's like
But it
bubble
was like
gum.
the like we mean business. I need to feel better, but it tasted so bad. And I remember as like a 6 and 7 year old, I was like, I would rather feel bad than taste this nasty ass like liquid, whatever it was.
I remember, was it like
Uh,
chalky?
No, it was just like the nastiest tasting. Like it was really bitter liquid. I'm trying to. It was like molassesy. It was like thick and like coated your whole mouth, and it was just bitter for
Oh.
a while. It was probably nothing bad. It's probably like what NyQuil tastes like to a child, to be
Well,
honest. It
I
was probably
remember
just like,
green NyQuil used to be like, felt like it was death in a spoon. Like it tasted the
yeah,
worst. I like as
yeah.
a child, that was like such a strong taste.
hmm
I
It was
remember
probably just that.
I remember as a kid, I think I got pneumonia a couple times when I was a kid. And every time I got pneumonia, I was like freaking pumped because I got the bubblegum medicine. And it was like this pink liquid. There was two. There was one that was like really chalky and gross, but they kind of both looked the same. And then there was one that tasted delicious. I would like casual if that was like an energy drink,
I'll
I
say
would sip
fake
on
it.
that. Yeah, I would sip on that.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say you used to fake pneumonia to get the
Yeah,
medicine.
you can't fake pneumonia, dude. They just like
You
take
could try.
they take x-rays and I'm like putting my fingers in front of the x-ray like, "Come on, I got
Yeah,
cloudiness in my chest."
that's you're like 8 years
You
old.
see all this damaged lung tissue?
Yeah. Oh man. No, I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Um I'm I I'm going for a job right now that I'm like super like it would be like a dream job and I'm like super stressed about it. Uh just cuz there's nothing I can do about it. Like if I'm good enough, I'm good
I was gonna
enough.
say,
Yeah.
can you control it?
I can't. And I know
Then
what the
don't worry
advice
about it.
is. I know what the advice is. I know what the correct advice is, Tom, but it's so hard to implement.
It
Um
is.
I'm debating if I should say what it is or not. I don't think it would hurt me
Not
if I
yet.
said what it is.
Nah,
I'll wait. If I don't
yeah.
get it, I'll still tell everyone what it was. Um, but yeah, fingers crossed. It would
Fingers
be
crossed for DJ.
it would be legit, guys. It wouldn't even be a pay increase. It would just be like it'd just be freaking cool, guys. It would be so cool. Uh, so yeah, that kind of nope. I can't. Tom, I'm gonna give it away. I can't. How do we transition over to how I got coached?
Not really. They're not related really, but uh what did you do this weekend first?
Uh, well, on Saturday I was
Did
working
you
on.
autocross?
I did on Sunday. On Saturday, I was working on something that's unrelated to autocross. I was supposed to go to the event at Pit Race with you. I was bummed that I couldn't see there. Um, Uh, and then on Sunday, I got the autocross. Tom, I finally drove a D Street GR86 that actually turned, and it was actually pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It has, like, just enough power to like, I had to modulate throttle in spots. It wasn't like I was just clicking the throttle down every single time I was, like, leaving a corner. Like, there was
Yeah.
to, like, properly draw whatever shape the corner needed to be, sometimes it was a click down because like, you would just open up the wheel real quick and, like, just follow the rear all the way to the edge of whatever cones were there. But sometimes, like, to keep the arc, like, it was so maneuverable, like, with the throttle and the brake and, you could, like, turn the thing on its nose. It was so much better. So that if there's listeners here, um, that have been, listening for a while, they know I drove a D Street, GR86, like, uh, I don't know, what was it, like,
A year
7,
ago.
8 months ago?
Charlotte Tour a year ago.
Charlotte, yeah. It was, like, kinda I think it was, like, kinda yeah, maybe it was, like, a little less than a year ago. Um, and it just didn't turn. Well, that bar was, like, probably, like, twice as stiff as the bar that was on Peter Schnorr's car, and Peter's car drove great. Like, it drove so good that maybe I don't need to do SSC because, like, D Street's pretty stacked. That's a pretty stacked class. I would still feel perfectly fine competing in D Street. Like, I still think SSC is, like, probably the hardest class to win, but D Street's pretty hard to win too. I would feel good about winning that. So
Sure.
if I could win it, which is part of the reason why I want to compete in that class. Uh, so I don't know. Might be doing D Street for Solo Nats this year, Tom.
Be cool.
I think Peter's liking the car too, so I don't know. It's pretty good.
It's funny because I've always talked about how SSC is just not that interesting to me, and you like drive one thing that's slightly better. You're like, I could do that instead. This is better. You and Peter both.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is Peter's had this car for a while now. It's been his like daily driver, and then when the SSC car, it was just having some mechanical issues. So he's like, well, mechanical issues on cars are dumb. Why don't I just have a backup car? So he just bought a bunch of cars for his like daily drive or parts for his daily driver, and then yeah, and then just like like threw himself in there, and I just got to tag along for the adventure, and I'm all for it. I'm like, this is cool, Tom. I kind of want one, like one for myself. I don't know how I would do it. Like maybe once Christine starts the accounting gig, like we'd be like, we were gonna get something kind of fuel efficient, but what if we had a GR86 instead?
How fuel efficient do you need? Mine gets like 30, and I drive like an idiot.
You know what, Tom? That sounds great.
Honestly, you could consolidate the truck, the Fit, and the Civic into a GR86.
Oh, I didn't think about the Civic. I haven't
I'm gonna
fully I haven't fully I haven't
planting
fully
bad ideas live
separated.
on the
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah, I haven't fully separated from the race car yet. So yeah,
No, I get it.
Jake Martin, it's just a practical choice. Like he's trying to like change it. Yeah, look, guys, I understand that it might be fuel efficient, but we were thinking like Prius fuel efficient, or like Chevy Bolt doesn't even use gas, or like Tesla doesn't use gas, like because like I have an electric car charger on the side of my house. It came with the house. It feels like such a waste that I don't have anything to like to plug it
Oh yeah,
into.
you have to get one now.
I
You
know,
have
that's what I was saying. Yeah, see, Taylor
to.
knows. Taylor in the chat says Bolt is such a value. It is. You can get them so cheap, and you get the $4,000 tax credit. You can have like a Chevy Bolt for like $12,000.
The Chevy Bolt SUV that I had as a rental car was actually very nice. I would live with that car.
Yeah,
At least from the weekend that I had it, I was like, yeah, I'd live with this.
yeah. I've taken them for test drives. They're like perfectly fine cars.
We're gonna become electric car vehicle people. Electric car vehicle? Electric vehicle people.
You know what? You can
You
still race
are.
an electric car. We learned that from PGR.
Dude, you were so close to becoming full car guy, and then you're taking a left turn towards EV guy. Like,
Yeah, you know what? Don't put me in a box.
yeah, no. Which, by the way, so we mentioned Randy Popst is going to be a guest on the podcast soon when we get that organized. We also are probably going to have the team PGR guys that run the Tesla Plaid from One Lap on pretty soon. They just mentioned that it'd be fun, and I think it'd be a really cool conversation to talk about EVs and motorsports with them because they've had to be pretty active with working with tracks to make their car like even legal to run or allowed to run and stuff. So
Yeah,
look for that soon too.
wasn't there what class was or what track was it on the one lap schedule that was like, "Ooh, they don't even let EVs run there." And we are like, "Oh shit, is that going to be a problem for PGR?" What track was that?
Hedge
Was
Hollow.
Hedge Hollow. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. Dude, they drove all the way from Minnesota to practice there. They rolled in and the track people came up and were like, "Oh, you can't run that here." And they were like, "What do you mean we can't run that here? We're in
Yeah,
a
like,
competition in this thing in like 2 months." So they had to work all that out. But because they've had to educate and negotiate with tracks on like the circumstances of EV motorsports, I think it'd be cool conversation.
yeah, they're literally blazing a trail for the potential future of motorsports, right? Oh,
Hopefully
blazing
not
might
literally.
yeah, blazing might be not the right word to use in that situation, huh? Mm, uh, they're
Well,
they're
figuratively.
yeah, figuratively blazing a trail.
Well,
uh,
that's awesome. Did you do well? Did you drive well? The
I did.
autocross?
I did. I felt like I drove pretty well. I'm doing so when we did the autocross school, you said something profound that I was like planning on carrying into the next. By the way, I've had so much good feedback from that episode of the autocross school episode. Everyone that listened to like we basically repeated some of the conversations that we've had over and over again. The
Yeah,
autocross events I've been to, people are like, "Oh, I love that episode. Like I saved it. I listened to it. Like I've listened to it like 3 times." So, awesome.
that's cool.
Yeah, that's super cool. Um and then yeah, so the takeaway that I keep thinking of is I forget exactly how you worded it, so I'll just like blurb it out and then you can tell it exactly how it was worded. But basically, you use any kind of downtime to uh like throw your eyes as far ahead as you can in that downtime. So like if I'm leaving a slalom and it's like I'm going to be on the brakes and I'm going to be turning left, how much can I get my eyes through whatever's coming next because I have some idle time. Um like really just concentrating on that. Like right now I have to put a lot of focus into it, but eventually it will just be a habit. Dude, I already know. I already know. Once it's a habit, I I think it's like part of your secret sauce, Tom. I'm serious. It's I don't even it's not even a habit right now, so it's still taking up like mental bandwidth of mine, but it's already like improving my game like so much. Just that if you have a split second, like where you're just gonna be kind of sitting there like looking at the same thing, don't do that. You've already looked at that thing. Like just get your eyes as far as ahead when you're on the brakes. Like I think it's a good habit. Like on brakes, eyes ahead, right? Um,
Yep.
so once that's just something that I do without thinking about it, ooh, I think it's gonna be pretty potent.
I've kind of said that for years, but I never thought of it as that profound. But utilizing that downtime, I think, is probably when we say downtime, I think probably a lot of people would be like, on autocross, you don't have downtime. What are you talking about? So getting bandwidth enough to be good enough at autocross to process the course and the thing that's happening without feeling overwhelmed already that you have some downtime is probably a pretty big. I don't know. Do you think you could probably think of it that way if you started that way? Think of it as like downtime. If you were a newer driver, you're in your first or second season of autocross, the cones are still flying at you, memorizing the course is still a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
Something like driving the car is still a little tricky. Do you feel like you could utilize downtime? I don't know. I
I don't
haven't been
think
able to put myself in those shoes in
I don't think you would
a
be able
very, very
to.
long time.
There was a lot of rookies at this event that I was at on Sunday, and it was just like I I always obviously it's more fun to watch people who are really driving the car well, but I always find it I'm struggling for the right word, but I always find it um it's like almost like a glimpse into my past when I'm like watching people try really hard, but like just mess it all up because like that's how I started. Is like I was just trying really hard, but I didn't know like the proper like I remember the first time I rode with John Laughlin and he was like using the brakes into corners and I was like, "Ugh," like that was like profound to me, right? Like where
Yeah.
he's accelerating and then hitting the brakes when he'll be at the right speed for a corner. I remember that being a profound thing for me, right? Like that's where I started. Like I wasn't doing simulators and stuff like you were when you first like went to an autocross. So you already had that stuff
Yeah.
like in your brain of like, yeah, I accelerate to the thing and then I slow down for the thing, right? I'm just like I like I have all these
You were fluffing.
everywhere. But, like,
Yeah.
I was just like, "Yeah, we're going through the course." But, like, there's so many things that you're doing wrong that you don't even notice that you're doing wrong, which is why I hired a coach, this weekend, Tom, because I had to be somewhat proficient on dirt oval racing and iRacing, and as I was doing laps, I'm like, I don't know what makes somebody good at this. I don't know what to do to, like, be good at
Yeah.
this. Like, I would do a good lap every once in a while, and I'm like, I don't know what I did different. I would, like, go watch it. I'm like, I couldn't figure it out. So
Hmm.
I hired a coach for a half hour, which was like $50. Um, so
For a half hour?
for a half hour,
Shoot, time to raise your rates, bud.
yeah, I know. Um,
You're giving away half your time for free, apparently.
apparently, yeah. Um, so just to get like some kind of direction on what to do. And so I did the coaching on a Friday evening. And I was busy on Saturday. And then on Sunday, I was doing the autocross event, and I'm watching all these people that were just as clueless as me when it came to dirt oval, right? About autocross. Like, how do you make a good time? I like so many of these people, they don't even know where to start because there's so many little aspects to it that, like, I think after you've done it a while, kind of seem obvious, right?
Mhm.
So, like, if you were to explain to somebody who's never done it, like, what makes somebody good at it might be kinda hard. Like, the way you're gonna explain it is not even gonna be comprehended by them, right?
Yeah.
Um, but if, like so, like, I made it a point, the person I was working, a corner with, I went and found him during my heat, and like, threw him in the passenger seat for one of the cars 'cause, he was relatively new. I think it was, like, his 2nd or 3rd event, and I was like, "This was super useful to me when I rode with somebody. Like, I want it to be useful to you too." And then, there were some people behind me and Peter. It was like a father and son duo. Me and Peter both took, the father and son in separate, runs out there just so, like, these people that were new could, like, I felt like it was gonna cut down on their, like, Dunning-Kruger curve, right? If they, like, got to
Yeah.
ride with like, they say, "Oh, man, I drive toward the corner and hit the brakes," and, like, all these little things that maybe I wouldn't even be able to explain it to them, but they're gonna take away whatever they need to take away by being in the passenger seat, right?
Yep.
So that's kinda how that
Totally.
was with the dirt oval coaching, is I didn't even know what the takeaways were until I was driving, and the guy who's like he's like one of the best at it, was explaining to me all these, like, in hindsight, kind of super obvious things, but I didn't know.
Yeah. That's gonna kinda be our little topic, sort of, amongst other things for today. So I wanna talk about the coaching,
Okay.
like the coach getting coached experience in a little more. But, I kinda had a similar thing. It ties to my weekend because I went up to pit race and
Yep.
I did the auto interest weekend. I ended up doing when I coach at those events, it's a version of coaching that's more similar to when I started, where it involved, like, I typically drive the car, and then it's like a one session basis, kinda like whether I drive the car or not, we look at video and data for maybe 20 minutes tops. But a lot of times when I drive the car, they ride with me and they get those takeaways for themselves. And then we can kind of confirm on video and data and stuff and take a look pretty quickly. But I streamline the I don't even call it coaching half the time. It's like I'm working with them a little bit, but the opportunity for them to ride and feel firsthand what's going on in the car, it saves me so many words and it saves so much just miscommunication between us off track because they just felt it and they saw it and they get it.
Yeah.
Or they understand a little bit and then all they have to do is figure out how to do it themselves, kind of. But
My
it was
fa
super fun. I
my
worked with
favorite
like
joke my favorite joke when, like, you take somebody out for a lap or an autocross run or whatever, and you get out of the car and say, "Now just go do that."
yeah, your turn.
Your
Yeah.
turn.
I like it at schools. I'm like, all right, I warmed it up for you.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Um, so so auto interest let me come up. I worked with 6 people total and I drove a Cayman GT4 RS. Um,
Jelly.
I gotta say, I still just me and Caymans, man, it was just not that great.
Yeah?
It's just not that great. I don't know what it is.
What
And
oh, okay, hold
I
on.
posted a picture of it and
Talk
go
to us
ahead.
like a car journalist. Walk us through it.
So it just feels I the asterisk is it was on like massively dead cup twos. And the car, like the grip level was appallingly low. It was just like skating all over the place. So I'm sure on fresh tires,
Those heat
the
cycle
tires
out.
band-aiding it quite a bit. Yeah. they were both very worn and probably heat cycled.
Yeah.
Um, that aside, you can still tell what a car's doing a little bit. Like it wasn't a drift machine. Um, it feels hindered on purpose, which I know is like the cliche car guy thing to say about a Cayman because the 911 is supposed to be better and whatever. But it feels like the front end was too sharp, too fast at the beginning of the corner. So it like wants to turn into the corner so quickly that the back can't keep up. So the back wanted to come around so quickly that I couldn't figure out like how slowly I could get the rotation started into the corner. And then as I got the rotation started, it would go from trying to over rotate to then just like a dull push and it couldn't finish the corner unless I broke the rear loose again, and then it would just kind of like flat slide off the corner and not productive. But even like with the contrast of the 911 from a week ago, it feels like the shifts weren't as fast, even though it's a newer car. It felt like it was not as powerful, even though it was more powerful. I don't like all of it just felt not as
Not as good as the
exciting as the
911.
911.
Oh, what are you
Yes.
telling me I have to drive a freaking 911? Tom, I thought I peaked with a GT4, damn it.
I don't, and maybe it's just me, but even like the some engineering friends of mine that engineer for like Porsche Cup stuff for like 911 Cup or yeah 911 GT3 Cup and for like the Sprint Challenge series in the Caymans,
Yeah.
they're like they message me. They're like, so like not as good as it should be, right? And I'm like, yes, not as good as it should be. Like it should be better.
I don't
And we were
understand.
talking. I guess it's got like geometry problems that are just like fixable if you tune on the suspension and stuff. But
Okay, well, for like a one lap car, like all that stuff could be addressed.
it could, but like, why is it that way? It should just be better.
I don't
The
know
best
why it
car I
isn't.
drove, if you follow me on Instagram, you saw this. The best car I drove was a Camaro SS,
That's
bar
Tom's.
none. I
That
would,
is
if I could
that's
pick another car, one more lap that day, I would pick the Camaro 100%. And I drove the Cayman GT4. I drove a GT350 Mustang, an RX-8, a Miata, a Lexus IS300, and then this Camaro. The Camaro was so much better than the other cars. I
you
would pick it hands down.
your spirit animal is a Camaro though.
They're just good.
I
We're
think
gonna talk about Camaros with Randy Popes when he's on here.
yeah. I mean, that it seems like he's kind of just stuck in one. I feel like Randy Popes could basically drive almost anything he wants at one lap and he just keeps driving a Camaro, so
Yeah, I guess. Um, yeah, the Camaro was good. The Mustang, the the Mustang, I kind of got set up for failure because all the stability control stuff was still on. So I'm driving around
and
like
you're
trying
like,
to go as
you
fast
don't
as
know how to turn
possible,
it
like
off.
basically just bashing into a wall of stability control all the time. I'm like, oh, this is so annoying.
Did the owner
But
want you to
whatever.
have it on or
I ran in the same mode he drives it on, but he didn't seem to really know how to turn it off until I pointed out that it was not all off. And he knew that it wasn't all off, but he like it seemed like he dug harder
yeah.
um, to find it after that. And then he said he went out and tried it later, and it was definitely different. But it was doing this weird thing because it was not that sophisticated. We talk about driver aids on this thing, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going down into turn 5 at pit race. If you don't know pit race, it's basically a 40-mile-an-hour hairpin that goes downhill on entry and uphill on exit. And I know that the stability control is on at this point. So I try to get it like pointed up the hill a little early, and I roll into the throttle and it over rotates just a little bit. And I'm trying to like ride that line. And as it's trying to catch the car, it locks the front end down and then keeps letting me spin the rear. So then I'm doing like a
What?
rolling burnout up the hill, trying to get the car straight
Is the
again.
owner in
And I
the
just look over, I was like, yeah. And I'm
the
like, I look
owner's in
over
the
at him,
car?
I'm like, what the hell was that?
You're like, "I'm not doing this. The car
Yeah.
is doing this."
Yeah. Because the logic, I'm sure, I know the brain of the car is like traction control's off, so I should allow forward slip, but stability control's on, so I need to make sure that it doesn't slide sideways. So I'm literally like fighting the car from going sideways up the hill, but it's letting me go as fast as I want, wheel speed forward. Like, ah, this is so stupid.
Uh,
Guys, turn your driver aids off.
that's the moral of the story.
Yeah.
Unless
Or at
it's
least learn how.
y
Don't believe when the car says the light comes on. Like, make sure you know how. Um, I had kind of a little epiphany on the drive home though.
oh,
That is like bigger picture track day related.
okay, let's hear it.
Um, something about this weekend and watching people at their like HPDE day on the drive home, I realized like, have you ever noticed how opposite all of the rules of the road are to the rules of the racetrack? You ever
N
thought about this?
no, explain.
Okay, so on the road, the primary rule is the speed limit, right?
Yeah.
On the racetrack, the only rule that doesn't exist at all is the speed limit. So there's like the rules to keep you safe, our flags, our etiquette stuff. There's no speed limit. The rules of the road are like there's no etiquette training really. There's no major communication system between drivers or like not everyone's on the same page, but we're all only allowed to go this fast.
Yeah, there's no
You know what
race
I'm saying?
control.
Right. And then like braking technique. When you're taught to brake for the street, you're taught to like the red lights up there. Okay, come off the throttle, I coast, I'd get on the brake a little bit, and I add pressure until I get to the stop, and I have the peak pressure like right before the stop, and then the car like stops. On the racetrack, you hit the brakes like as hard as possible right away, and then you spend the rest of the brake zone pulling away so that the car is composed when it gets to turn in. Um, the like the what else? I wrote down something else.
You're just like
Oh, the
you
right of
got
way.
so much windshield time.
I did, yeah. The right of way is completely opposite on the road and the racetrack. So on the racetrack, the cars that are fastest in the corners on HPDE have the right of way. If you're fast on the straights and slow in the corners, you're still supposed to point the car by,
Yeah.
which is like the opposite of on the road. The cars that are going fast, technically you're supposed to like move out of the left lane and let them go and stuff, right? It's just interesting to me. Like it's the first time I thought about that. I don't know why I realized it, but I think that's partially why it's so hard to get people to wrap their head around like
So what's the
racetrack
solution?
stuff.
Do you make the
I don't
road
know.
more like the racetrack?
I mean,
Like
I would,
with
but
like point buys and stuff?
I don't know about that. I think it was probably because I was trying to go through an on ramp and someone was in my way and I was annoyed. That's probably why I wanted to point by before the on ramp.
You wanted a
It's probably
point
something
buy?
stupid. But then I started to realize all the ways that driving on the road is different. I'm like, man, this is probably why. Like racing is a little more in our wheelhouse because we're exposed to it before we get on a racetrack. But if you've never been on a racetrack and you're an enthusiast and you get to the track, you're set up to have so much of it be the opposite of what the racetrack is expecting of you that it's like the learning curve is I've never even thought about that part of the learning curve. That was all. It's kind of interesting.
It is interesting. Um,
I almost wonder if you could soften that learning curve by pointing out like the here are the rules of the racetrack. We preface all of that with like here's the differences from the racetrack.
I think that would confuse them more.
I think so too.
Yeah.
There's already enough going on.
Yeah, it's just the best way to describe a racetrack to somebody who's never been on a racetrack? It's a country road without cops.
Yeah, that's what I say a lot actually.
Yeah, because if you treat it like a country road, where there's like, you're not going to get a ticket, then you're probably not going to go absolutely nuts. You're going to explore the limits of your car, and you'll most likely drive your car home like at the end of the day, right? But if
Yeah.
sometimes people get like a little like in their own head that it's the fact that it's a racetrack, but it's just a road that just like kind of loops back on itself, essentially.
Yep.
Yeah. So
We used to have this kind of running joke when we would host corporate events at the go-kart track. We'd get a lot of groups of like small teams that wanted to do a celebration for some project finishing or Christmas parties or whatever. And we get this groups of corporate people coming in. And there would always be somebody who was timid. And to break them out of their like timidness, we would say like, when you get on the highway and the speed limit is 55, do you go 55? And 99% of the time they'd be like, oh, no, I go like 60. And we're like, well, here you're allowed to do whatever you want, except for these like 4 rules we just gave you. So like, go have fun. And it would always work. It would always be like, oh yeah, you're right. I guess I can just like go
oh,
ham.
yeah, you're like almost like breaking them out of their shell. They're like all this pent up aggression that I've been holding in this whole time. They just turn into like a bandit out there.
Maybe a little bit.
You're
Yeah.
like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
So there was always one timid one like that. And then there was always one quiet person who was like wildly fast, but out of left field. You could tell they were the quiet one in the office and everyone's like,
Oh, I love
what
that.
got into
I love
Julie
that
or whatever?
dynamic.
What got into Steve?
I forget where I was, but I was going out of town and Mitch, my coworker, grabbed like a bunch of people for like this big karting event. Like everyone in the office went, and I wasn't there. And Mitch beat everyone. And so like Mitch is like for like a while, he was like the hero of the office because he was so fast. I'm like, Mitch, you son of a bitch. Like you damn know what would have happened if I was there, but you're getting all this glory. And I wasn't even there because it was the GLDC weekend because I was driving a race car and you're beating everybody in rental carts and I'm jealous I wasn't there.
Hopefully it was the weekend you won anyway, though, right?
No, It was when I
Or
was
was it the
driving
first
Jake.
one?
It was when I was driving Jacob's car, the Corvette.
Oh, like a month ago.
Yeah,
Oh
I
god.
know. Yeah.
That's funny.
So he was the hero in the office. People would walk by, be like, that order went out as fast, almost as fast as Mitch's lap times, and he like point at him, and Mitch is like, and I'm like, you son of a bitch, you did that on purpose. I think
That's funny.
I made a joke. I can't remember I can't remember exactly when it was, but I mentioned that like, oh, I was like, I'm going on vacation next week, with Christine, and I was like, yeah, maybe you can get everyone to go karting again, and I like glared at him.
I love that. Um, Taylor in the chat asked, going back to the Camaro thing, is it just that I have a thing for heavy soft cars, like the weight's easier to feel? Honestly, yes, I do love like heavy soft. The softer or the heavier, I love the way
Yeah,
that feels.
Tom really
But I
loves
think it's a
Crown Vics.
I, I do, but I think it's kind of an acquired taste like a front wheel drive car. Like if you have the skill set to maximize a heavy weight transfer style car, you have a leg up on everybody else that can't do that. Because like Formula kids who drive Formula cars, for example, they're like 15 years old and they're racing Formula S 2000, Formula F 2000. They've like never felt weight transfer for real in their life.
Yeah.
But like you autocross a Camaro, you're feeling weight transfer. You're not confused by that when you get it the second
One
time.
of the most fun cars I ever drove on track was an E92 M3. It was
Mhm.
just so good, but it's a heavy car. But like everything it did just felt like slow and like it was like still communicative, but it was like fast. It was easy to drive. It felt like it
It
was
was
easy to drive at like it was like easy to like skate from like entry to exit. So, Ducky's in the chat. Well, it was okay. I understand what you're saying because Tom posted in the chat. It was slow, but it was fast, like making fun of me. It like
I didn't want to cut you off, but I did want to make fun of you.
It did
Sorry.
things slowly, but it was still a fast car. Does that make
Yeah,
more sense?
I knew what you meant. Yes. Yes, it
Okay.
makes perfect sense, but I still had to
But
go for it.
but no, I sounded like a doofus for a moment there. Ducky's in the chat says, any chance of a traveling autocross school? Tom and I are totally down. So
Yeah, so to clarify, the one that we did was an invite from a club. They told us they wanted us to come out. We worked out the deals of that or how it would work. And we did it. Like we didn't put it on for ourselves. So if you have a region or a club or something that you want to, or a track day even, like get a hold of us. We're happy to talk to you about it or email us questions or whatever, podcast@lizardbrain.life. We kind of burned some of the questions last week. So if you have anything at all, shoot us a message.
yeah, we're down.
How was that plug? Nailed that, right?
Yeah, lizardbrainevents.com. That's not a website yet, but and now it can't be a website because somebody's gonna take it.
True. Okay, so I want to hear more about getting coached because I've never been coached. I had one what I would call instructor once,
Like,
and then a lot of, we've kind of talked about this before. Like
Yeah.
we've done a lot of self coaching and a lot of community coaching with our friends. But this is the first time you've ever like hired a coach.
yeah, I hired a coach and we met at a time on Discord and he hosted a server and I joined it on iRacing and I got coached for Dirt Oval because I have freaking zero clue what I'm doing on Dirt Oval. But I wanted to not completely suck at it. So to get some kind of direction, because I was like, okay, I can like slam my head against this for the next 20 hours and probably kind of understand what's going on, or I spend some money and in a half hour I save myself 20 hours. That's the way I looked at it. I was like, that's totally worth $50 of my money. And it's not like I have a lot of money to spend anyways. So like $50 to me is like a decent amount of money. But the quicker I came up to speed on the Dirt Oval stuff, like the better it was for me. And yeah, it was super useful, Tom. And it was really fun. I was like really enjoying it. Like
In what sense?
like like the gains, like that like I need Tom to go back. Like hold on. Oh God, where's this button? Oh. We need to go back in time, Tom.
Okay. Okay.
to
Take me
when
there.
to when Tom was learning how to drive and you would figure something out and it would click and you were instantly better because of it.
Mm-hmm.
How rewarding did that feel?
It was awesome.
Dude, I was like rapid
Even
fire.
now, that's awesome.
Yeah, but I'm thinking like low hanging fruit where like it's like you don't like for example like with the autocross thing where like downtime you look ahead thing. We should call that something. Uh Tomoing it. Tomo
Sure,
Vision.
why not?
Tomo Vision, that's what it's called.
I like
I
that.
like that. So like for Tomo Vision, it's not like you just explain it to somebody and then, "Oh yeah, cool. Boom, faster." Right? It's like something that you have to like build into a habit. You have to like build like that sub executable program that will run in your head. And now it's a thing that makes you better, right? But when it's the like super low hanging fruit, like you are an absolutely trash at this thing and somebody's just like holding your hand through it, like the 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 gains and the dopamine hits were like just rapid fire. They were just coming in hot. And for like a half hour, it was for example, like one of the things that I didn't know, I was just like misunderstanding the colors of the dirt in iRacing. I thought like the dark middle spot was pavement. I'm like, well, obviously that's gonna be the most grippy. Like it's
Oh, it's a
it's
cushion.
dirt. Well, no, the cushion's up on top with like
Not the
where
cushion, the loose stuff, right?
no, that's the packed hard dirt. But it looked like pavement in iRacing. I was like, "Ah, yeah, pavement. That's where the grip's gonna be." Right? But no, that's the dirt packed so hard that it has like a sheen to it in iRacing. The what you actually want to aim for is the dark dirt, which is like the mud. The mud is the grippier stuff on a dirt oval track is because it's wetter dirt. The lighter dirt is looser, so you have less grip on it.
Hmm.
So, with all those things in mind, because I was asking him, like, I remember when it first started, I was like, "Yeah, I don't know how sideways I need to be on corner entry. I don't even know if I should be using the brakes or whatever." And I was asking all the wrong questions. So basically, once I shut up and just let him talk to me, then I was like, "Oh, I understand now that my angle on entry is irrelevant because it depends on where the grip is." Like for instance, on a 50% usage track, in the middle, like the ideal spot to drive in the track was all packed dirt. So that wasn't going to be fast. So then you had to search around the track for like the better dirt to drive on. And in on this particular track, and in iRacing, it's really cool because the as people drive, the dirt that's being driven on will like dynamically change where people are driving. But then when you just set like the track conditions without like it actually like starting fresh and then moving into that from people driving on it, uh, it will just go based on where most people drive, like historically, right? That's kind of where it goes. So in on these track conditions, the inside below the cambered spot, the banking, below that is where the nice like wet dirt was. That's where the grip was. So once the track got into that kind of state, flying in sideways on entry was not going to be fast because you could only get like your front left tire into the grippy stuff. But if you went in kind of flat, then you could get your front left and your left rear in the grippy stuff. So you could actually leave the corner sooner because you had more grip. So like there's all
Hmm.
these like little dynamics that like worked in. And like once I kind of understood like the fundamentals of like where the grip was and then like using the brake or how much angle I should have on entry, all of that became irrelevant because I'm just trying to put important tires on the grippy stuff. So, and then at that point, then it was just driving a car, right? I'm just I can use the brakes to manipulate where the nose ends up. I can fly in sideways if that means that like my right rear is going to be in the grippy stuff and like the my left front can be in grippy stuff because the you know what I mean? Like I can have an angle where like the car's so diagonal that I'm grippy on both things. Like you can kind of get clever and creative with it. It actually made it way more fun, like, the dirt oval stuff made it way more fun for me because I actually had an understanding of how to make speed. So when I was saying coaching was fun, it's like, it made me understand this thing that I didn't know anything about enough where the nuance and, like, the gain from it and, like, the things that I should be aiming for were so much more rewarding because I actually had direction in what to head into.
It sounds like learning to drive in the rain. Like, once you understand where the grip is, it becomes way easier. Is that a fair assessment?
To a point, yeah, but the angle on entry and, like like the line changes so much more like on a racetrack, you like figure out how to drive in the rain and like it doesn't change, right? Like that's just where it is.
Okay, so rain line in heavy rain or so like, as it's raining or something,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
changing
I guess.
conditions
But like
or ice racing even.
what made the dirt oval stuff like kind of interesting is that it's going to be different every single time. Like every
Yeah.
race, you could go there like in a different weekend and people are driving it slightly different so the dirt wears in different. Um yeah, it made me understand because let's face it, like here in America, dirt oval racing is probably the most popular racing every weekend. There's probably more dirt oval races happening every weekend than any other kind of racing in the country,
Hmm.
right?
I don't know for a fact. I would say small oval for sure. Dirt versus asphalt, I don't know.
I would be willing to
Probably a good
bet
chance
that
though, yeah.
yeah, I'd be willing to bet that dirt oval is the most popular form of motorsports in the United States. As far as like the number of events happening per weekend.
Sure. Yeah, never thought about that.
So, and it's something
Um,
I didn't know anything about. And now I
huh.
at least have a direction on it, and that direction made it so much more fun than I thought it would be.
Did you learn about or did you learn or take anything away from the coach's style or like this guy, his coaching to apply to your like toolkit? Or was it like, oh, this guy just knows something more than me about this thing?
So
Like, was he a good coach?
I think so I gave him there was like a little review thing. I could tell that like while he's like 9,000 I rating on dirt. So like he's literally one of the best. But I could tell like he hasn't done that much coaching. Um he didn't have like a good format of how to bring things up. You could tell like the conversations he was having like they weren't like super well practiced. He kept doing this thing where he would be explaining something on his shared Discord screen, but wouldn't draw my attention to it. So he would be explaining something, and I'm thinking he's talking about what I'm looking at, which is like in my rig at my screen. That happened like 3 or 4 times, which made like things kind of confusing. And I'd be like, oh, I didn't realize I was supposed to be looking at Discord. Can you explain that again? And then I'll look over at my computer screen, and he's showing me something with his mouse on the screen. When before I thought he was
Mm.
just trying to explain it to me with words as I was doing laps. So, like, there was, like, a couple little things like that that, like, kind of, like, he could have done better. And, being a coach myself, I was like, "All right, like, this guy just needs a couple pointers on the coaching stuff." And then I think any of his future students would, like, really benefit from it. But he was chill. Um, he didn't he didn't, he never made me feel like he was so much better than me, right? Because like,
Mhm.
that wouldn't be a good coach. Um he was yeah, he just, like, gave me, he he gave me what I think I helped him a lot too, like, being a coach myself. Like, like, guided him a lot into, like, "Okay, hey, look, alright, so you explain this to me, like, what is my low-hanging fruit in terms of this?" And then he would just kinda, like, tell me. So, I don't know if it was, like, super fair to completely judge his coaching just because, I only had that half hour, and I was just it's not like he was, like, pouring water down on me, I was, like, pulling the water down. Like, it's
You were
not
like wringing the rag out
yeah, I
above
was,
your
like,
head?
wringing the rag above my head, it's not like it was, I was, like
Huh.
it wasn't like, I don't know, uh yeah, it's not like he was, I was, like, pulling the coaching from him rather than him letting just disperse it because, like, I was like, "I need as much out of this half hour as I can," so it was, like, rapid fire, like, "Okay, cool, I understand that,
Yeah.
let's move on to the next thing, like, let's go to that," whatever. Sometimes when I'm coaching, like, like, when I'm coaching, I let the student dictate the pace that we're going over things. Because if they're working on something, I see that they're still working on it, like, we'll keep talking about that thing, right? I'm not gonna move on to the next thing if they're, like, still working on whatever we just talked about, right? And I think maybe this guy was kinda used to that, and I'm like, "Cool, yep, got it, I could practice that later. What about this?" Right? Like, I would just, like, kinda, like, move on to the next thing, which is probably not entirely what, he's used to.
Yeah, true. But the whole like slowing him down when he was talking to the wrong thing. Like I always try to clarify for somebody or say up front, like, hey, if I say something that doesn't make sense or if I go too fast or what, like we did this at the autocross school.
Yep.
It's like don't just like nod because you don't feel like worthy of cutting me off or you want to just like agree with because you don't want to be embarrassed of acknowledging you don't know what I'm talking about or something. Like stop me, make me clarify, make it make sense, and then like then we can move on.
Right. Yeah,
That's a
because
good point.
from our perspective, if we're explaining something to somebody and then we don't hear anything, then we're just like, cool, they got it.
Right. Or like we just have all these words that are just like part of our vernacular that could be completely foreign to somebody else. So if we
Correct.
like acknowledge or if we say like the car's tight, so you have to do this, or like just basic
Whatever.
words. Like what does that mean?
Or
Okay, I
we
get it
could
now.
even
Cool. Move on.
without even noticing, we could say like, yeah, the twist of the car or this or that, and they'd be like, what does he mean by the twist? Does he mean like the chassis twisting or what? Like, you know what I mean? Like it could be, we could say anything that just in passing we don't realize is like flying over somebody's head.
Yeah.
Um,
Like I think you say twist and I say rotate. And we could say that to the same person and one would two people and one would be like yes and the other people are like,
or
oh, what?
you could say pivot and like maybe they don't understand. Like all those things are the same thing.
I remember when I started racing with Kenton in IMSA, he always used the word positive for like um generally it was the front end. The front end's too positive, which means the back end can't keep up, which basically is a fancy race car driver way of saying the car's loose.
Yeah.
And I either need the front end to be more positive or less positive. And I was for the first day, I was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Positive, like positive, like set up something, right? Like ride height, rake, camber. Like I don't. What's he talking about? It's got a good attitude.
Wow, what a positive front end.
Yeah.
I
I,
I was doing an endurance race with Kenton in iRacing, and we were working on the setup of the car, and he's like, "Ooh, try this one." So I like went out and did it for a couple laps. I'm like, "I don't know, dude. I think it's a little too spinny." And he's like, he thought that was the funniest shit ever because because he comes from like the pro racing world where he's like, he's saying, "Oh, like if I would have said." I don't know, Kenton. I think it has the front end is a little too positive. He'd be like, okay, I understand what to do with that. But I'm like, yeah, it's a little spinny. He just thought that was hilarious.
yeah. I've always like pushy loose. Ken Halseal has pushy loose, right? Was it Ken
Yeah,
that originated
Ken
that for
Husil
us?
always says that, where it's like it pushes so much to the point where it snaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny.
So, but yeah, Tom, I I don't know how much dirt oval racing I'll do. I'll definitely do more than I did before, which was zero. Um, but I kind of dug that. If I ever have some like additional income, I might just get coached in things because like that was pretty fun. Like the rapid
Hmm.
learning was like really, really fun. I really enjoyed that. I joked around
Yeah.
because I had to actually reschedule my own coaching because like I was coaching somebody. I had to reschedule it for like an hour later because I was getting coached. So that was a funny like, hey, I'm actually getting coached, so can we move your session forward? And the person I was coaching found that funny. And I was like, yeah, I got to pay for my coaching with this coaching. So
Just moving money around
yeah,
within
basically, I was
iRacing.
like, actually, can you just pay this guy? That's essentially what happened.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I'd be curious to get coached sometime. Or even if we like coached each other and somehow.
I think we
I feel
know
like
each
we do
other
it
too well.
organically.
Yeah, we do it organically. We almost know each other too well, though.
That's true. I don't know how I would go about getting coached because I wouldn't want it to be in the simulator. And I have a feeling I kind of know what people would say if a coach were to like
Really dig into
work
your
with me.
driving.
Like I honestly I don't even know if it would be that productive. It would be productive. There would be something if I did it for like road course grip driving.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be really interesting if I were to get coached, for example, like when I own my drift car for like a couple months. If I were to have like a drift coach or like ice racing coaching, I kind of had a couple people who would like try to help.
But like somebody where
Uh,
like their time is
but it was never
fully
quite full. Yeah, not
yeah.
fully dedicated.
Yeah, because it's a different thing when it's like somebody's like helping you, but they're kind of focused on their own thing. When like you're
Yeah.
paying, when somebody's paying you or you're paying somebody else, in my case, um, to coach you, it's another brain on your activity, right? So now you have two brains focused on you getting better, right? Your own brain and their brain. It's like a collaborative effort to I totally butchered that word by the way. Collaborative, collaba.
No, you nailed it.
Could hold on, save me, Tom.
You said it. Collaborative. You said
Thank
it.
you. Collaborative. I forgot how to say it. My brain was like
Oh,
dying. Um,
you got it right. You got it right once by luck.
yeah, definitely luck. Um, it's a collaborative effort to focus on like your driving. Um, and I enjoyed it.
Very cool.
I get why people do that. It's just it was fun. It was enjoyable. I enjoyed that a lot. I would do that more in the future if I could afford it. Like literally
Yeah.
just for dirt oval. I'm just like, cool, let's just keep this going. I like maybe I'll even start doing some races.
Why not? Give it a shot.
Yeah, I think I will. I think I'm gonna I think I'll do some dirt oval stuff. You know how like James Houghton does like he like kind of bounced off of road racing in iRacing and like now he's like 7K I rating in like oval.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who
And then you
knows?
too could get punched in a paddock somewhere.
What you're saying like a dirt oval paddock?
That's a NASCAR joke. Do you see the guy
Oh,
that got
oh,
punched?
dude, yeah. Okay, hold on. Can you explain that to me? Because I saw the video, but I'm not entirely sure what was going on.
Are you surprised that if I told you it's Kyle Busch involved?
Oh, is that the guy that got banned from the WRL race?
Yes.
Oh no. Okay,
Yes.
so explain what
Okay,
happened.
so how do I describe this audibly? Kyle Busch was on the high side. They're too wide in this tiny super speed or tiny speedway. Kyle Busch's high side on the car in front, and this other driver, Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s high side on the row behind. So they're nose to tail, but both on the high side. Kyle Busch runs a little bit wide. Stenhouse puts himself in the middle. Busch goes into the wall and then into Stenhouse and like wiggles himself through, like he gets bounced off both and then tucks behind. And then 2 corners later, he just drives through Stenhouse and crashes him. So he
Okay.
crashed him on purpose because he felt he got done dirty by like the guy forcing him to run up into the wall 2 corners before. So then because this other guy got wrecked, he waited around and like started this altercation with him. And the guy was like, obviously they're both just being idiots. And then one guy took a swing and everybody gets involved.
I saw
That's what you
like
saw.
what what crew was the green pit
I
crew a
don't
part
know.
of? Because there's
I
like
could not
people
tell who
coming
was
from
who.
everywhere. It looked like somebody was breaking up the fight. And next thing you know, now they're fighting the dude. I'm like, what is
Yeah.
happening?
I cannot wrap my head around a physical altercation under any circumstances on the planet. I don't understand.
Well,
Like, we're not like, what are you doing? We don't like you're throwing fists. That's just like the biggest sign of you're an idiot to me.
yeah, it's especially like in a professional motorsport sense. I mean, I guess really anything, but like
Anything.
it's but it's
Like like really hitting? Are we two?
but
Eh.
also here's the thing, like where they were like fighting and pushing each other, like somebody just had to have like a weird awkward fall and then they could have like actually been really hurt. Like they could have hit their head on something like pointed and like sharp and then they like it the thing is like as humans we're like really fragile.
Yeah.
So it's like yeah, you push that person and then I can't remember what clip it was. It was like somebody protesting and then they got pushed and their head just against the pavement and their eyes just rolled back and like I think that person that was pushed like was really really hurt if not killed. And you all the their head just bounced
This is
off.
dark.
Yeah, they just their head just bounced off the ground. So like anytime there's any kind of altercation like that, I saw a video where like people were fighting on like a subway train or whatever, and I'm thinking, man, there's so many like objects where a head could bounce off of that would be really bad. Because like the thing is like we're just really fragile as humans. Like our heads are so fragile.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's why you wear your safety equipment, kids,
Tom,
when you get in your race car.
I keep getting
What?
reminded this year every single time I check my helmet that I'll need a new helmet next year.
Ooh, we're gonna have to sell more stickers.
I'm gonna have to sell 1,200 stickers to afford a new helmet.
You should start just start networking within the safety equipment business industry people. I don't know, like see if you can meet anybody this year who could might help you get a good helmet.
Perhaps maybe we'll have a Bell sponsor to the podcast, everyone. You hear that,
Yeah.
Mr. Bell? Got
Bob
some
Bell.
you got some lucrative real estate in the podcast business over here.
Honestly, safety equipment's one of the industries I would not feel super gross about promoting on this podcast.
No, that
If we were
sounds
to get like a
fine.
safety sponsor, that would feel pretty cool.
Yeah, I would. If anybody knows anybody,
Yeah.
so, like Tom already like he already sold his soul for a helmet, but like DJ still has a soul
No,
to
I bought
sell.
this one.
I
I
know.
bought this one.
Well, that's what I mean, like because it was so expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom almost he basically bought an air conditioner for his head.
No, I brought it on discount. It was only $2,100.
Oh,
So half an air conditioner.
so 2,100 stickers.
Yeah. Right.
When you put it in the
Oh,
terms
man.
of when you put it in the terms of podcast stickers, everything sounds expensive.
It does. Like, I'm too poor for this.
Uh,
But that's cool. I'm glad you did the coaching. That makes me think. I hope it makes everybody else think about, the value of that and the fun in it.
it was
Honestly,
fun.
I don't think of coaching as very fun. I genuinely don't think of coaching as fun. Not
Like-
that I don't enjoy my coaching. I don't think that people are having fun. I think of it as like a learning opportunity. I never think of the fun that is involved.
I think. Well, so every coaching client I have is a little different. I think some people are having a blast. Like we have to like I have to like rein them in, be like, all right, let's focus on the thing, right? Because we'll just be like ribbing back and forth. Um,
Sure.
and I have a couple clients like that where it's like it's just like a giggle fest the whole time, and like I'm like, oh crap, like yeah, we have to be productive. Let's like and that feels weird. It's like you're like trying to make it productive, but then other clients they're like super serious, and it's like straight to business and like very systematic. Like for example, like I was having fun in my own way with this coaching thing, but the guy that was coaching me probably didn't. I don't know. He probably didn't get the impression that I was having a bunch of fun because I was so like trying to extract the coaching out of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like as coaches, like our perception, like this person's super serious, but they might still be having a great time. But they're just trying to extract everything out of the coaching because that's how they have fun.
True.
So,
Yeah, I've never thought about that before.
you know, what one thing that I do want to do, I just have to figure out basically the logistics of it. I want to give out like a survey that people can take after every coaching session.
Mhm.
Because I think that would be very valuable for me to just get better, just overall. Because there's not really a good way as it stands right now. Because I would have never given that person that feedback like while we were coaching. Like at the end, I'd be like, "Hey, just so it," because like I just felt like that was out of place. But then when that thing showed up, like the survey showed up, like a day later, I was like, I was still thinking about the coaching and stuff, and it showed up, and I was like, you know what? I do think there's something that I could tell this person that would help them in the future, right?
Yeah.
So I should give out some kind of survey thing to get feedback from people. When hey, when you talked about this, I didn't understand what you're talking about. I'm like, oh crap, maybe I'll like change how I word that, or have somebody repeat it to me if we're talking about that topic again, or whatever it is, right? If I get that experience that, that's something that we talk about a lot in the podcast, that immediate feedback.
Yeah.
How do you get better at something without that? Right?
Goes both ways. Yeah.
Right. So it's the same with coaching. Like, how are we supposed to get better if we don't get that immediate feedback? Like,
Kind of reminds me of sorry, go ahead.
well, we do get some kind of feedback when like we have that interaction where like we see light bulbs go off. But when we don't see light bulbs go off, there's still feedback to be gathered there. Maybe that feedback needs to come as a survey, like 24 hours later.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of what Ross Bentley brought up on that track walking podcast we were on, or I was on with him and a couple other people. And he said that he studies for his coaching weekends prior by familiarizing himself with the track that he's going to, the data software that's installed in the car, and like setting a goal for himself of like, what do I want to be better at this weekend with my
Yeah.
coaching? That's another of like, how do you improve on anything? It's closing that feedback loop, really,
Yep.
so that you have something to like set up for next time. It's pretty cool. I'm doing less coaching right now, but when I was coaching a lot the last 2 years, I was always thinking like it'd be cool to get that feedback, but also I'm scared of what they might say.
It is scary, obviously, right?
Yeah, because you're like, it's just you, dude. There's literally nothing else.
Right.
It's not a company. It's not a Google review. It's like just you.
They're just
Ugh.
reviewing it. Well, I mean, look, if they want to be like ruthless and they're like, yeah, I thought his breath was stinky or something like that, then you're like, damn, dude, I'll get some Tic Tacs. I'm sorry. But like,
Yeah.
but I feel like if somebody took the time to do that survey, it's they're trying to help you because they believe in like whatever you're doing, right?
True.
That's
Yep.
that's the way I would look at it, unless I got something like he was annoying and his breath stank, and I'm like, oh, okay, well,
Yeah. He
sorry,
didn't help
dude.
me at all, and I wasted my money. I would just like
You
you'd
would
never see me
crumble.
again.
Tom
No.
would just hide. But I don't
Yep.
think that person would leave a review because they're leaving it directly to the person. Now, if they're leaving it to like a company, I could maybe see that review showing up as like wow, that was a waste of my time or something like that. But
Right.
if you're leaving the review directly to the person, I think a review like that, most people are not that confrontational where I just don't see that happening where you would get that
It's true.
review. So
Yeah.
it wouldn't be that hard either. I would just make like a Google sheet, like a survey thing, and then I could just go look at like the results as they like populate.
Hmm.
It'd be really easy. I would just make it where the link never expires and I can just share it like after. Right? It'd be super
Yeah.
simple to do.
Super easy.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna build that. I don't know when I'm gonna get a chance to build that because it's gonna be a pretty busy week for me. But um, yeah, at some point in the near future, I'm gonna build
Soon.
that.
You built your calendar finally.
I did all the way
Good for you.
till the second week of July. I didn't go much farther than that.
Oh, okay.
So, not a complete success. I'm
Uh,
sorry, Tom. I saw the disappointment in your face. I'm so sorry
no, no. That's a month and a half. You're fine for now.
for the next month and a half.
Yeah, just don't get to June 17th and be like, I don't have any events.
No, June is stacked. I have so many things to do in June. I have like one weekend I have like 3 different events on the same weekend and I just have to pick which one I want to go to.
Oh, I was going to ask if you're doing all of them. You
Uh
know what else is in June?
what?
Our 100th episode,
Oh shit. What are we at right now? 96?
96.
Are you sure? I think we're at 97.
Nope, 96.
96. Okay. In Tom we trust.
Yep.
Wow. 100th episode. Should we do anything special? Is that the
Well,
one we're
it's the
going to
weekend of the
have?
Cleveland Champ Tour. We talked about doing something at that, but we'll find out. We'll see. We'll start planning now.
Is that the
We'll
one
try
where we
to
have
start
Randy
planning
Popes
now.
on? We need to get Randy Popes to the Cleveland Champ Tour.
Maybe. That'd be kind of interesting.
Hopefully I have my air conditioning fixed by then. We'll just do it in my kitchen.
Yeah, it's just the three of us camping out in your basement. Oh, I thought you meant you were going to invite him to stay at your house.
I mean, if he needs a place to stay, I don't really have any comfortable couches or anything. Like anytime you come over, you just sleep on an air mattress.
That's great.
Yeah, sure. I
It'd be
need to
kind of
get
amusing to have Randy Pope show up as a special guest of the Lizard Brains podcast to an autocross
that would be fun. You think you'd come?
for the right day rate. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He'd probably be like, here's my day rate and you have to cover my travel, but he would come.
Well, guys, we're gonna have to sell a lot of stickers to afford that. So,
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Should we do an email or two?
yeah, let's do it. I didn't pull it up, so can you do the first one?
I have it up. Once you do the intro.
Oh yeah. Oh, hold on. Emails.
I've never looked at you when you do that. You do like this the belt face.
Yeah, I'm like I have to feel it. If I don't feel
Celine
it, it doesn't,
Dion.
if I don't feel it, it doesn't come out the same as how it should.
Okay, so we have an email that I need to go through ahead of time and maybe compress it down a little because it's very long. So we're going to get to that one soon. But this one is from Adam Lors. This is titled Episode 92. Guys, Episode 92 is great. That's the one where we break down everything we talked about after our autocross school.
Yep.
You guys went over a lot of things that I've been working on. It's good to hear some ideas of how to help those issues. I did have a question about aggressive and abrupt inputs, steering and throttle. My dad has been struggling with being smooth off and on throttle and with steering. What advice can you guys give to help with this? Adam.
What do you got?
Um, uh, it's tough because I don't want aggressive and abrupt to be misconstrued with how you're allowed to drive the car with your body. But obviously you can't have the abruptness transferring down through the car to the contact patch of the tire to the ground. So there's a hard line there that you have to be able to kind of just differentiate. If you were to go to watch one of mine or DJ's videos, you're not going to see us being perfectly smooth. You're not going to see us being like clinically perfect with our hands that are just like I'm turning down to this angle and then I open my hands up. Like you're going to hear the throttle bopping a little bit. Like you're going to hear some like crunchy driving as far as our inputs go. But
If you're
when it all
watching,
goes and transfers to the ground, generally what you're going to see is smoothness. And the main reason for that is a fast driver is able to keep the car within the window of the maximum limit of adhesion so tightly, and within like the happy slip angle of the car, they call it 2 to 4% on the tire, just slipping just a little bit. That the inputs that can become a little bit more abrupt in the car end up being more than the car can actually transfer to the ground. Therefore, they end up kind of all smoothing out by the time the car can actually take them. So if you see someone like chopping at the wheel a little bit or like trying to hit the throttle a couple times before they actually get to smooth throttle, but getting away with it and they're fast, it's because the car is within that window of adhesion so consistently that even though the driver is not perfectly smooth, the car is transferring everything to the ground pretty smooth.
yeah, like when you're at the
So with
limit
that
of
like
go ahead.
asterisk, go ahead.
Well, when you're at the limit of adhesion, the steering wheel really doesn't do that much. So like
Correct.
you could be like wiggling the wheel back and forth. If you're at the limit of adhesion, nothing's really changing with the car. It looks crazy inside the car, but nothing's actually happening.
Yeah. Yeah. So I find it's tough because I don't know how to coach to that. Like there's a level of it that you're kind of not going fast enough. If you're aggressive and sharp with your steering and your throttle and brake inputs, and every single thing that you're doing is going all the way to the ground, that the first thing that is the problem is you're kind of not going fast enough. Is that a fair thing to say?
That's fair, but I would never explain it like that because then somebody's like, "Oh, so
So,
I just have to go faster?"
well, that's what I'm saying. It's like
Yeah.
it's a terrible note, but it's important to acknowledge that that's kind of the root of why why that happens. So ways to smooth things out. If you're if you're not if you're not able to get the car closer to the window of that limit of adhesion where everything that you're doing is not transferring to the ground, to me that tells me there's two things. You're either, for autocross specifically, it sounds like this is autocross related, it sounds like you're not finding the exit of the corner early enough. You're not confident where the car is going to end up, therefore you're underdriving the entry and then getting really aggressive the middle and exit of the corner, trying to know because you know you're going too slow. You're trying to go faster, faster, faster now. I want to go, I want to go, but I can't because I overslowed and now I'm in the middle of the corner and I want to go, but the car can't go because I'm not pointed the right way. Like you see how that whole thing compounds. If you're able to find the exit of the corner faster, you judge the entry speed better, you keep the car closer to that edge of adhesion through the entry, then everything else smooths out slightly for the apex and exit of the corner. That's kind of my first gut response to what this issue is. There are absolutely people who are just 150% on the knob when they need to be 100%, and that by that I mean the car could take 50% throttle and they go to 100%, or the car can take 90 degrees of steering and they go to 120. Like there are people who just have too much of that. And if you
Yeah.
can help your dad find out if that's his case, like the car is going fast enough and then the inputs are just way too much. I coached an IMSA driver that I was on a team with, and we pulled up their data stuff and we opened the steering angle. And dude, the steering angles were freaking crazy. They were like 160 degrees,
When it should have been
120
like when it
degrees,
should have been
100,
like 70.
just like elbow over elbow, like tying his hands in a knot using steering angle to
Oh,
try to solve the push
those poor
problems.
tires.
And I brought it up and I pointed it out next to mine where it's like, okay, I'm at 80 degrees of steering on the slowest corner and you're at 150. Look at what this looks like. And he's like, oh, okay. And he like dialed all that back. If that's your dad, then that's also a different problem. But I wanted to explain everything in the first bit of that because I think it's important to acknowledge and then problem solve a different thing. Because it's not necessarily a smoothness of the driver thing as much as it is like a bigger picture dynamics of everything going on. How did I do? Did that make sense?
That makes sense. I would
Okay.
I would say
What
it
do you think?
differently. So
Go for it.
everything with the inputs, yes, 100% that. What I would focus on is if the weight is abrupt. If the weight is moving around abruptly, so if it's like on the front of the car and now all of a sudden it's just boom to the rear and it didn't like glide around the edge, that's the abrupt that I think you have to avoid. I wouldn't focus on the inputs at all. I think focusing
Yeah.
on your inputs as far as like trying to drive the car well is it's an impossible task. Like focus on good fundamentals, like having your wheels in the right spot, like having a good bend in your elbows, like having a nice light grasp on the wheel, all those things. Like focus on those things, but don't focus on like how I turned in or how I got on the brakes or how I'm getting on throttle or whatever. It's too much. It's too much to focus on. Um, the thing that you should be focusing on other than that is just the weight and the tires. Where's the weight? How is it helping the tires? What are the tires doing? If you just focus on those things, all the inputs, everything will smooth out to match what is happening around the car. That's how I would explain it. So don't focus on the
That's
inputs. It's too hard. It's like
that's
it's basically
yeah.
impossible.
I agree with the like don't think about the inputs is a perfect note. Focusing on the weight I think will work for a lot of people. So I like how you said that. But no one quick is focusing on their inputs.
Nobody.
I don't believe that that
I don't even
is
know. I
possible.
don't even know what my inputs are. If you
Dude,
had to,
I was watching some one lap videos because I'm going to start posting my one lap videos. So there were some moments in one lap, especially in the rain. It's like, I don't remember that happening.
yeah,
I don't remember
you're just
correcting that.
driving.
What was I thinking? Who did I think I was? But
But
you're not focused on that at the time.
yeah, but the weight didn't do anything that scared you. So you're like, yeah, this is fine.
Exactly.
Right? Because
Yep.
you're focusing on the tires and the weight of the vehicle. That's all you're focusing on. You're not thinking about and like your inputs are naturally managing those two things. So you're not thinking about your inputs because it's just happening naturally. It's just like when you're running, you're not thinking about how your how your torso is twisting and like your legs going. It's too much.
Well,
You wouldn't be able
there
to do
are
it.
there, I believe there are circumstances where being aware of your body input is the primary factor here. Is the primary factor for the task is what I mean. So like yeah, maybe a runner does have to focus on like the way their foot lands because they're running flat-footed or like maybe there is a driver that needs to make sure their hands don't instinctually cross over to 120 degrees when all they need is 80. But generally speaking, 99% of the time focusing on the input itself is not the main thing.
Right. So I was gonna bring up because uh it was I think my junior year in football we had like a running coach come in and we worked on our running, right? Which seems like a natural thing that you do. But the thing we
Mhm.
focused on was the leg kick out and how our foot touched the ground. We didn't
Yeah.
focus on anything else about like our arms, your torso, right? That's what I'm talking about. Is you focus on the things that are important, but you're not trying to focus on all the other stuff. You're just focusing on the important stuff.
Yep. Yeah. I like our answer to that question. Hopefully that helps Adam or Adam's dad. Whichever. I,
Or
I'm not
everyone
sure who we
else.
were actually answering this for, but
Okay, and then I'll read this one from Joshua Reger.
yeah.
All right. Hey guys,
Oh, I like this one.
in your I knew you would like this one. In
Let me
your
sit up here.
Tom got all he's like, oh crap. In your last podcast, you were talking about how to improve autocross. A friend once asked me, what would a professional autocross or a professional level autocross look like? That's been a fun thing I've asked a few people over the years. I imagine a world where autocross was the main form of racing and had big money, television, huge sponsors. Would there still be classes? What would the courses like? Or what would the courses look like? And I responded to him. I said, "This is gonna be such a fun question. Thank you for this one." And he says, "I've had some good discussions about it. My first thought was crazy A mods going more insane speeds, but those cars may not have sponsors. If companies want to sell cars, would stock classes be more popular? Courses could be permanent sites, but like holographic cones, like he was just throwing out some ideas. So
Whoa, he went further than I thought. Okay, we've had a lot of autocross content lately, other than the one lap stuff, so we'll keep it maybe short. But because my dad told me he turned off one of the autocross episodes, I
That's
was like,
fine.
"Damn,
Well,
it
I
is
bet,
fine."
dude. Well, here's the thing: is our listenership is very diverse. I would say like it's
It
probably half
is.
and half, right? It's like half autocrossers and then like half like track people, right?
Yeah,
Well, actually, I would say like 45% autocrossers, 45% track people, and then 10% people that it has nothing to
Australians.
do with racing and they're just from Australia. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, dude, I love the digital holographic cones idea.
That
Holy
would be
crap,
cool. Can you
that'd be so
imagine?
cool.
So can you imagine if it was like a pavement and it was like a grid and you would like just draw out the courses and then those cones would like show up as like a some kind of like laser projection thingy?
Yeah, like Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, oh, like a Yu-Gi-Oh like stadium.
I don't know why that reference popped into my head, but the
um
people who watch the show, they know. Okay, so I think it would be I mean, it would be in stadiums for sure. It would be like Race of Champions at least.
I was thinking like Race of Champions where they would have it like I was thinking just like Race of Champions, but instead of cones, you'd have like Tech Pro, which is basically Race of Champions, right?
Yeah, but I kinda yeah, maybe like barriers of some kind, Tech Pro or something instead of cones. I love the like there maybe like it's digitized some way that excuse me, the obstacle is physical, in that you can see it, but it's like a sensor that when you run through it or over it, they would like be able to tell you if you got the penalty. But I like the cone or the wall. Like you can't just have it be a dot. And then I think honestly for spectators' sake, I think it has to be like a two cars at a time thing.
I think it
And it has to
does.
either be like a Race of Champions duel where like you're racing back to your start finish line or like pro solo or something. I don't know. I don't think single car autocross could ever be like the primary entertainment form. Even though I have those big dreams of like what solo nationals could look like and it would be like Formula 1 qualifying as like cars came through and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
cameras get low and stuff, like all that would be super cool, but genuinely for like spectating live and all that, I think like it has to be two cars at a time.
And okay, so I agree with you. I think it would be like it would look something like Race of Champions. Uh what what about the cars?
I don't know. See, I'm not that interested in the cars, so this is a hard question for me. I mean, I feel like there has to be classes, but there would be like way fewer of them. Like now there are categories and classes. I feel like the classes would just be the categories or something.
Yeah,
There would be street and then like prepared and whatever the other ones are. I don't remember. Mod
I think you would have
like 10 instead of 70 or whatever.
yeah, I agree. Um what do you think like there would have to be like an unlimited type of class, like an A mod though, right?
For sure.
What do you think A mod cars would look like if like money was unlimited? They'd be like super fan cars that
I
are like electric, right?
I was gonna say I feel like fan cars would be the obvious like way to go faster
They would be like
because generating infinite down or generating exponentially higher downforce at 80 miles an hour, you can only do so much. That's why they have seven wings on them now. But if you just did a fan car,
fan car and it would be less drag and electric for like instant torque. Have you seen that
yeah,
one car that does like 0 to 60 in like 1.3 seconds or whatever cuz it's a fan car and
point
it's
nine.
point 0.9, is that what it was? You know what
I
I'm
saw it was
talking about?
a Formula SAE car. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So something like that, but like it would last cuz right now it can only do 0 to 60, right? And just and then it's done.
yeah,
But if it like had that much downforce and that much grip and did like an autocross course, like that would be like a killer A mod car.
for sure. I think the what would the courses look like? I think they'd be the same. I would want them to be the same. I like what they are now. I think autocross is in a sweet spot of speed and autocross. Do you remember like I don't know if you were autocrossing yet. Have you ever been a part of a discourse amongst like autocross is going too fast now? You
I
ever been in that
uh
discussion?
I remember that being a discussion like what, like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe like 4 years ago. People were talking about autocross is getting too fast because they were having to shift to third.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't mind that.
I don't either. I think 80 is like a good top speed.
Yeah, for like a
Like
really
60 is
fast
too low
car.
now.
I think 60's fine. I think like I mean it obviously depends on the site, right?
For sure. At
Um
nationals, if you only hit 60 miles an hour, that'd be kind of lame.
yeah. Yeah, like a really fast car hitting 80, that kind of seems fine.
Yeah,
Like across the finish 80.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so there would be some classes. The courses look the same. It's probably in a stadium, sold out, 80,000 people. There would definitely be flames, sparks, fireworks, lasers.
There would be a concert
Um,
in like the middle of it.
not at the middle, at the end.
Oh, at the end is like a celebration.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't yeah, maybe. I like the holographic cones. What
Ooh,
else could we do?
what if they did a
What other like sci-fi
hold
stuff could we
on.
add in here?
What if they did like course change on the fly since it's all like digital, like all the holographic tech pro
Oh, like a randomizer?
and they do a concert while they're like changing the course around.
Okay.
Like a quick one.
What other favorite parts of autocross would you want included in a top form? We're going too deep. My dad turned this off.
David Best in the chat says drone cones.
Drone
There
cones.
would definitely be drone coverage, right?
For sure.
Yep, yep. Let me think.
Do you know what a Kenny cone is?
No.
Kenny cone is like, they killed Kenny from
Oh, is
from
it
South Park.
is it a cone that is like gets murdered all day?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
uh, let's see, like favorite parts of autocross. I don't know. I think like what would be cool is if they had like a camera at like the last slalom cone, so like literally on top of the last cone, so like you see the car like wiggling through all the
Oh, a
things
camera cone.
and it like flies by. Yeah, like a camera, literally a cone that's just a camera, and it would be on strategic
What if
places on the course.
someone has to have done that before, right? A camera cone?
Like I want a camera at the last cone and like a 5 cone slalom, and then somebody just like killing it.
Yeah, like how those curb cameras
Yeah,
where like all the race cars drive over the curb real fast. They're like,
yeah. See,
but it'd be the cone.
Whitney in the chat literally says, I mean, they put cameras in curbs.
Yeah, if no one's ever put a GoPro on a cone before, I'm mad.
I'm,
I've never thought of
I'm
that
mad
before.
at this world. This is not a
Yeah, I'm
world I
mad at
want to
my
be a
friends.
part of.
I can't think of any other like my favorite parts of autocross driving wise that I would want to be a part of this. So I think we figured it out. But there would maybe be something like a bracket or like a
Like a shootout kind of thing.
yeah, I mean my favorite part is the agility. So as long as that part's in there.
I think it would literally be like Race of Champions where there's like a bracket and it like goes down.
Race of Champions is like slaloms short of autocross anyway.
Yeah,
So yeah.
basically. Yeah. It would basically be Race of Champions. I think a bracket would be the most entertaining way to watch it. Like you qualify,
Yeah.
right? That would be like the part that only like the hardcore tune in for, like kind of like free practice 1, 2, and 3 for like Formula One. Like they still like
Yeah.
broadcast it. So like the qualifying of it would just be setting a time. And then once you set a time, now you have a bracket, like an elimination bracket, mano y mano, like you got to get it done that time, and it like brackets down, kind of like how King of the Mountain does it.
Yes. You know what I just thought of?
What?
Finish your thought. Do you have more thought?
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
Okay. The holographic cones would solve how boring it is to wait for things to like keep going. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I went to this Red Bull Air Race. Do you ever go to the Red Bull Air Race?
Hold on. The problem with the holographic cones is you kind of need. I feel like, do you need the physical thing? Because sometimes you can run over the base of a cone and be like, couldn't have been closer than that.
True. Maybe like a bowling alley, like they're on a string and they like
Oh,
right back in
yes,
place or
exactly.
something.
Yep.
So I went to this Red Bull Air Race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and it was really cool. And it like the way the plane moved in the air actually applied to autocross way more than I thought. And we could actually, it was a group of autocrossers that I went with. We could pick out which ones were good and which ones were like tight and like carving through the air versus the people that didn't understand like the proximity to the goalposts or whatever they were dodging. But dude, the amount of time that it took for like the plane in competition would fly away, and then a new plane would come in and land, and then another plane would come off and fly away.
It was too
They
long.
would always have one plane flying. Yeah, it took for freaking ever. That's the problem with autocross. So they'd have to like
Rapid fire.
rapid
So
fire. I'm doing snappy fingers if you're not on
you
video.
would run the 2 cars, and then the moment they come off, you would launch the other 2 cars.
Yeah, but like the digital cones or whatever, like that would speed that up a lot.
Yeah, you would need, like, the tech pros and digital cones on, like, wires that would, like, pull back into position or something, right?
And lasers and fireworks
And
and smoke.
explosions!
Yeah. Or else TikTok won't watch.
If you hit a cone, it just, like, shoots a firework into the air and just goes like it, like, shows up as, like a big red X.
You have to clean off
Dude, wait!
firework dust instead of cone marks.
How cool would that be for the live spectators, though? Like, when a cone gets hit, it literally just shoots a firework into the air out of that cone, and it's a big red X that, like, shows up, like,
Yeah.
that explodes out into the instead of, like, a normal firework where it's like a spear, it just shows up as an X. We have the technology, we could do that.
This is like Hyperdrive, that Netflix show.
I never watched it, but it sounded ridiculous.
I tried to start watching it, and when the SCCA person they put in there described himself as a 42-time regional national champion, I had to turn it off.
I think I turned it off in the same spot.
That's the real thing.
Hey, that person might be a listener of this podcast, Tom. How dare you?
I know this person, he's nice enough, but I was like, "Oh no, you got the bad edit, bud.
Oh,
You're about to
the
be real bad
bad
at this."
edit. Wait, did you know that person?
I know him in passing, yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it's
He's a club racer.
yeah, you got the bad edit. That's funny. So what are you doing this weekend, Tom?
Dude, I got a pretty big weekend. I didn't realize. I have the Champ Car race at Watkins Glen on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then on Monday and Tuesday, we are testing the TCR car with Rockwell at Mid Ohio
Ooh.
because we're doing the IMSA race at Mid Ohio
Oh,
in a couple weeks.
are you?
Ah,
Did you just announce that?
surprise.
Surprise.
Yeah. I thought you
That's
kind of
fun.
knew, but the world's just finding out. I'm doing another IMSA race. Holy shit.
Woo woo. Look
Yeah.
at my pro driver co-host. I'm so proud.
I paid for that license, man. I'll take the title. So yeah, I got like 5 days of racetracks this weekend, Friday through Tuesday.
That's nice. You'll be so
I'm so
dialed.
excited.
You'll be so dialed at the end of that.
I don't know that it'll matter with these old Audis, but we're gonna find out.
All you can do is your best.
I know, but that aside, I'm so excited. I'm so excited, and I also get to drive one of my favorite racetracks, Watkins Glen. I haven't been there in I haven't driven there since 2019. I'm so freaking excited, guys. That track's incredible. Oh my god, that track's incredible. DJ, you gotta drive that track.
I know. I'm kicking myself that I still haven't driven it. I still think it's boring in iRacing.
It took me forever to drive it, and then the first time I drove it, I
You're
was
like-
eh. No, because I drove it in like a 200 treadwear. It was an AER race. I was driving a Saab 9.3 race car,
Yeah.
and it didn't handle that great. So I was kind of like, wow, this track's like nothing special. It's really cool. And then I took Eric Coutil's car there when I was driving that for a season. And holy shit, like a momentum handling car at Watkins Glen is just spectacular.
All right. I'll find a way. I'll find a way to drive
Yeah.
it. Who you're driving with Rockwell for the champ car?
Yeah, Boxsters at Watkins and TCR cars at Mid Ohio.
That's a busy 5 days for Rockwell.
I know. Not to mention like trying to find a job as a dentist somewhere. I don't know how he does it. What are you
No, he
doing?
does it either. Me and Christine are going on our first vacation since 2018. So
That's awesome.
yeah, she just graduated school. So we're going to celebrate, and I've never been to New York City, so we're going there.
For a week? Is that right?
Yep. Well, we're coming back like Thursday evening. Oh, I have a band concert on Thursday, so yeah, we're coming back in time for my band concert on Thursday. But yeah, it's also our 10th anniversary, as Christine points out in the chat. So
Gotcha.
yeah, so
That's awesome.
yeah,
Have fun.
I'm excited for it. The last time we went on vacation, 2018, we went to Hawaii, and that is where I was kind of like, yep, I need to marry this girl. So maybe it will happen again when we go to New York.
If you come back married, who knows?
It's just like a New York elopement.
Yeah.
So yeah, it should be.
That sounds fun.
It should be a good time.
Do you have anything planned?
Yeah, we're going on a sailboat at some point. because that's like the best way to see Statue of Liberty. Christine has a whole like agenda. The things I'm really looking forward to is we're going to see like a see. Christine said I made a whole spreadsheet itinerary.
I
She,
love that.
she is such an accountant. Um, and we're going to some jazz clubs. So that would be cool.
Oh, cool.
We're going to see Christine. Are we seeing Hamilton on Broadway? Yeah, she said yes. We're going to. I'm gonna eat pizza. It's gonna be great. I can't wait. I wanted to get the full New York experience. I wanted to get like an Airbnb that was only like 300 square feet and it was like literally just a bed. And I'm like, haha, the full New York experience. This would be like $3,000 a month. But Christine's parents graciously provided us a hotel. So, I
Nice.
guess.
That'll be better.
I mean, obviously it would be better, but I was ready for
Are
I
you
was ready to sleep with the rats.
Ooh, I don't know about that. Are you bringing your trumpet if they have like an open mic?
Absolutely not. That sounds terrifying.
That's why you should do it.
No, are you kidding? Oh my goodness, I would die. Um, it's gonna be interesting coming back to that concert on Thursday though, after not like playing a trumpet for a week. Cause that would be a very tough concert. I have a feeling that it's gonna go rough. So, but I'll be there.
You'll
Woo.
be fine. They don't have to be the best.
True. All you can do is your best.
Exactly.
Right.
I
So,
don't have anything smart to add to that.
well,
Sorry.
that's fine. Um, but yeah, looking forward to that. And there's a lot of prep that we have to do, including fixing an air conditioner apparently because it's broken again. So I don't know if I said that in the
Oh,
beginning of the show before I recorded or
you did, but why fix it? Oh, no, that was before we started recording. But why fix it when you're going to be gone?
cats.
Oh, forgot you have animals and plants and stuff in your house.
Yeah, it can't be like 90 something degrees in the house.
Yeah.
So also
Okay, fair.
when Christine's mom comes over, like to hang out with the cats for a little bit and like feed them, she can't be like sitting in a 90 something degree house. So
Good point. Good
yeah.
point.
All right. I think that's it for the show.
Cool. Yeah. We're gonna have a fill-in episode next week because DJ will be on vacation.
Yep.
We don't
hold
know
on.
what that'll be yet, but
Let me
you'll
get-
hear it next week.
Let me know when to hit the outro. You just point at me, Tom.
Oh, sure, whatever. You go for it.
Okay.
Did you have
there
fun
it
this
is.
week?
I did.
Good, me too. It was fun catching up. Hey, friends out there, love your hair. Hope you win.